My name is Ethan Cole, and for as long as I can remember, I've smelled like gasoline and engine oil. To some people, that's a sign of hard work. To others, like my former boss, Greg Tanner, it was a symbol of poverty. Every morning at Tanner Auto Works, I'd roll up my sleeves before the sun rose. The sound of tools clanking, the hiss of air compressors, and the growl of car engines filled the shop like a choir of survival. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest, and I loved it. I wasn't just fixing cars. I was reviving stories. Each busted truck, each rusted sedan, had a life, a dad's pride, a family's escape pod, a dream on four wheels. But to Greg and his cronies, customers were nothing but dollar signs. Greg was the kind of boss who chewed on cigars but never lit them. He wore gold watches that could pay my rent and drove cars worth more than our annual wages. He used to say, "Ethan, people don't pay for honesty. They pay for urgency. The sooner they panic, the fatter the invoice." I'd smile weakly, but inside I hated it. Every time I saw an old lady coming with her checkbook trembling, asking why her repair bill was triple what it should be, my conscience screamed. So I did what any man with a backbone and a dream would do. I started fixing cars for people off the clock. Free, single moms, veterans, college kids scraping by. I'd stay late, sometimes until midnight, repairing cars in the back alley of the shop. On the flickering light of a street lamp, my hands blackened with oil, my heart light with purpose. People started calling me the honest mechanic. I didn't do it for fame. I did it because I believed the good man could survive in a crooked world. But that belief was about to be tested. The whispers began quietly, like the low rumble before a storm. At first, I didn't notice. The late-night customers started showing up earlier, smiling nervously as they slipped me folded notes of thanks and home-cooked meals. One even left a small envelope with a tip saying, "You're too good for this place, Ethan." But good deeds have a way of traveling fast, especially in places ruled by greed. It was a Friday morning when Greg Tanner called me into his office. The moment I walked in, I knew something was wrong. His office smelled like cologne and power, mahogany desk, leather chairs, the usual symbols of self-importance. But that morning, he wasn't smiling. His eyes were cold, his cigar unlit. Behind him stood Troy, the senior mechanic, my so-called friend. "Ethan," Greg began, his tone slow and venomous, "I hear you've been running your own little charity shop out back." My stomach tightened. "Sir, I was only—" "Don't insult me with excuses," he snapped, slamming his fist on the desk. "You've been stealing clients, using my equipment, and giving away my profits to people who don't deserve it." I wanted to speak, to tell him those people were single mothers and veterans, the same ones his shop overcharged. But when I looked at Troy, he wouldn't meet my eyes. He'd ratted me out. Greg smirked. "You thought I would find out? There's no room for Boy Scouts in business. Ethan, you're fired, effective immediately." My chest burned with disbelief. "You're firing me for helping people?" He leaned back, puffing a cigar with a satisfied grin. "I'm firing you because you're too honest. Honesty doesn't pay the bills." That sentence, "too honest," stuck in my head like a nail driven deep. I packed my tools in silence. My co-workers avoided my gaze. I saw pity, fear, and a hint of relief that it wasn't them this time. As I stepped out into the blazing afternoon sun, I looked back one last time at the workshop, my second home, my dream, my sweat. Now it was gone. The door slammed shut behind me. The sign above the entrance, Tanner Auto Works, shimmered in the heat like a cruel mirage. But as I walked away, dirt on my boots and tears in my eyes, something inside me hardened. I didn't know how yet, but I swore one thing. One day, Greg Tanner will work for me. And that promise would change my life forever. The next few months were the hardest of my life. With no job, no savings, and a rent notice pinned to my door, I packed what little I had into an old backpack and moved into a cheap motel on the edge of town. The kind of place where the flickering neon sign outside hummed louder than your own thoughts. Every morning, I'd wake up before sunrise and look at my grease-stained hands built to work, but with nowhere left to belong. I spent my days applying for jobs, one rejection after another. We'll call you. You're overqualified. We don't have openings right now. They all said the same thing. Then one night, as I scrolled through my cracked phone, I stumbled on a short video. How to start a business with nothing but skill. It hit me. I still had my tools. I still had my craft. The next morning, I went to the scrapyard. I found a broken-down van for $700. The owner laughed when I offered $350 and a promise to fix one of his trucks for free. He said yes. That van became my workshop on wheels. I spray-painted Ethan's Honest Auto on the side in bold white letters and drove through neighborhoods, fixing cars for people who couldn't afford the big shops. At first, it was slow, a flat tire here, a jump start there, but word spread. They called me the mechanic with a conscience. And when I fixed an old lady's car for free after her engine gave out in the rain, a bystander recorded it and posted it online. Within days, it hit 200,000 views. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Requests poured in. People wanted me to fix, teach, even speak on podcasts about ethics in small business. For the first time in my life, honesty did pay. But I didn't stop there. I took every dollar I made and reinvested it. Better tools, better van, a small workshop of my own. Then I met Harper Lee, a business strategist who'd seen my video. She believed in my story and offered to help me scale my business. Within 2 years, Ethan's Honest Auto became a franchise model. Locally owned, fair pricing, transparent service. Customers trusted us because we never upsold lies. But fate, it seemed, wasn't done with me yet. One afternoon, Harper rushed into my office, holding her tablet, face pale. "Ethan, you won't believe this." On the screen was a business news headline. Tanner Auto Works declares bankruptcy amid fraud allegations. Greg Tanner, my old boss, was falling. I looked at the photo of him in the article. Desperate, tired, holding a press conference as his empire crumbled. I leaned back in my chair, heart steady, not with hatred but purpose. This was my chance. The tables had turned, and for the first time, I had the upper hand. 2 years later, the skyline that once mocked me now shimmered in my reflection as I looked out the window of my new high-rise office. The company I built, Honest Works Automotive Group, had just secured a major investment deal. My name, once anonymous with a small-time mechanic, was now whispered across the industry with respect. But one deal stood out among the rest, an acquisition offer. When Harper slid the folder across my desk, I froze. On the cover, Tanner Auto Works, liquidation proposal. My old employer, Greg Tanner's empire, the same man who'd fired me, humiliated me, and called me too honest for business, was now for sale and I had the power to buy it. We signed the deal within a week. I made sure it was all above board. No tricks, no shady backdoors. Just clean business. When the ink dried, I didn't feel vengeance. I felt justice. But I wasn't done. Greg Tanner was still listed as acting advisor during the transition phase. That meant I'd have to meet him. The meeting was set for a Friday morning, the same day he fired me 2 years ago. Poetic. When I walked into the old Tanner headquarters, the place looked different, dull, lifeless, stripped of pride. And there he was, Greg, older, smaller somehow, his hair thinner, his eyes duller. He was staring at a file like it could save him. "Ethan," he whispered, disbelief crawling across his face. "Good to see you again, Greg." I said, keeping my tone level. "I want to tell you personally, you work for me now." He blinked, looking around, as if searching for a camera, a prank, anything. "You? This is some kind of joke." I slid the acquisition document toward him. "Not a joke. Business." The silence stretched. Then he laughed bitterly. "You think you can run this place better than me?" I smiled. "No, Greg. I already am." I could have humiliated him, fired him on the spot, but instead, I did something better. I offered him a position, not as CEO, not even as manager, but as a consultant. Same office, same building. But now he had to watch me lead, ethically and successfully. And I didn't stop there. I rebranded the company. The Tanner name was replaced with a new one, Honest Works HQ. The tagline? Built on integrity. Every commercial, every press release, every interview carried that message. Greg Tanner watched from his small corner desk as I turned his corrupted empire into a respected, people-first enterprise. One afternoon, he walked into my office, eyes heavy. "I didn't believe honesty could win in this world," he said quietly. I looked up, smiling slightly. "That's why you lost." He nodded, defeated but almost peaceful. Then he left, without another word. The day I fired him, I didn't feel rage. I felt closure. Because revenge wasn't about crushing him. It was about proving that good people could still win. And as I looked out the window at the city skyline again, I realized I hadn't just changed my story. I'd rewritten the rules. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't destroying your enemy. It's becoming everything they said you couldn't be. It's been 5 years since I left the garage that once crushed me, and every morning, when I walk into Honest Works HQ, I still feel that faint smell of motor oil and dust, like a whisper from my past reminding me where I started. The company is thriving now. We've expanded into renewable vehicle tech, opened training programs for low-income mechanics, and even partner with veterans foundations. Every success story that walks through our doors reminds me of why I built this. Not for revenge, not even for redemption, but to prove that doing the right thing still matters. In the early days, I used to think power meant dominance, that getting even was the only way to heal. But power, real power, is the ability to build something lasting out of pain. The same honesty Greg Tanner said would destroy me is now the reason my business thrives. Clients trust us because we tell the truth. Employees stay because we treat them like family. Investors believe in us because integrity, it turns out, does pay the bills. One evening, as I locked up the office, I saw someone waiting near the elevator. Greg Tanner. He looked older, humbler, his arrogance stripped away by time. He smiled faintly. "You did good, Ethan," he said. "Better than I ever did." For a moment, I saw not the man who betrayed me, but a reflection of who I might have become if I had lost my soul chasing wealth. You taught me something, Greg. I said, you taught me what kind of man I never wanted to be. He nodded. Then he turned and left, disappearing into the quiet hallway. Later that night, I stood on the balcony, looking out over the glowing city. Everything I had, every success, every scar, came from one truth I refuse to abandon. Honesty isn't weakness. It's the hardest strength there is. And for every young dreamer out there, working long hours for people who underestimate them, I'd say this: keep your integrity, keep your vision, and when they tell you you're too honest, smile, because one day they'll be working for you